Mirror, mirror, show me the princess. Ah, perfect.
If you were having a good day, no you weren't. Hey, it's Nicole. You don't care that much? Let's move on. You may have noticed I called myself a Shrek virgin in the title. You may also have noticed that my eyes are completely devoid of life. That's because in preparation for this video, I not only watched the movie, but also consumed 11 Shrek videos, over 20 articles and posts, and a 162-page book called Investigating Shrek: Power, Identity, and Ideology. I did that because I'm incapable of formulating an original thought. In any case, I had never watched the entirety of Shrek because as a child, I was too busy repressing my entire childhood. Anyway, let's start with a little context on Shrek. Shrek is derived from a German word, Schreck, which means fright or terror. Shrek is a 2001 award-winning animated movie that follows an antisocial ogre, Shrek, as he journeys to reclaim his swamp. On his way, he encounters a talking donkey, an unconventional princess, and a corrupt lord. Shrek is loosely based on a 1990 fairy tale picture book. While the book had a somewhat different message, in general the two both promote self-acceptance, even though the movie takes a bit more of a romantic slant. The context of Shrek's production is that after there was some drama in Disney leading to the chairman's departure and his co-founding of DreamWorks, the production company released Shrek as a giant middle finger to Disney. The movie begins with what seems like your typical omniscient narrator giving context to a fairy tale.
Once upon a time, there was a lovely princess.
You know the drill. Then Shrek immediately sets the movie's tone by revealing that there's no narrator, ripping out a page and then wiping his ass with it. Shrek is chilling in a swamp on the outskirts of society to the tune of All Star by Smash Mouth. Hopefully you can imagine this because I'm not risking the copyright claim. Shrek seems pretty comfortable with himself, more peaceful than you would imagine an ogre to be, and pretty content to be left alone in his swamp. However, a mob of humans shows up unprovoked, and then Shrek scares them away.
This is the part where you run away.
He finds that they were trying to claim a reward for turning in fairy tale creatures. Basically, Lord Farquaad of Duloc, a kingdom modeled after Disneyland, has been trying to rid his kingdom of fairy tale creatures which he regards as imperfections. As his men round up creatures, we recognize some familiar faces from, conveniently, the public domain. Geppetto is selling Pinocchio, we see Tinkerbell, etc. We also meet a talking donkey, very aptly named Donkey, who runs into Shrek as he's trying to escape and then begs to stay with Shrek for his safety. Shrek very reluctantly agrees, shutting Donkey outside, and then before he knows it, his entire swamp is overrun with other exiled fairy tale creatures. Shrek needs to get his land back, and Donkey is the only one who knows the way.
Anyone at all? Me! Anyone! Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
So they travel to Duloc, and when they get there, they find themselves in the middle of a tournament. Lord Farquaad, Duloc's ruler and original Short King, has put on this tournament as a first step to becoming the legitimate ruler of Duloc. The magic mirror from Snow White told him,
"Technically, you're not a king."
Thelonious.
in order to become a true king, he has to first marry a princess. In a nod to shows like The Dating Game or The Bachelor for adults watching,
Bachelorette number 1 is a mentally abused shut-in from a kingdom far, far away. Bachelorette number 2 is a cape-wearing girl from the land of fancy. Although she lives with 7 other men, she's not easy. Bachelorette number 3 is a fiery redhead from a dragon-guarded castle surrounded by hot, boiling lava. But don't let that cool you off. She's a loaded pistol who likes pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. Yours for the rescuing, Princess Fiona!
The mirror presents 3 contestants and then Lord Farquaad chooses the audience favorite.
Number 3, my lord. Oh, okay. Number 3.
Farquaad doesn't really want to rescue Fiona from that dragon-guarded tower, so he has this tournament to choose his fighter. When Shrek and Donkey defeat the knights, Farquaad declares them champions, and they strike a deal. If they rescue Fiona for him, Farquaad will remove those fairy tale creatures from Shrek's swamp. Shrek, unbothered by the unspoken rules of a princess rescue, practically breaks Fiona's neck and hauls her ass out. Donkey, a voice for consent before it was cool,
Hey, that is unwanted physical contact.
escapes from the dragon who has fallen in love with him. Once they're out, Shrek reluctantly reveals his face to Fiona, who recoils, and demands that Lord Farquaad get her himself. Shrek has no time for this shit and just carries her. Later that night, under the moonlight, Shrek reveals to Donkey his insecurities.
It's the world that seems to have a problem with me. People take one look at me and go, "Ah, help, run! A big, stupid, ugly ogre." They judge me before they even know me. That's why I'm better off alone.
And Fiona, who's been eavesdropping, decides to be nicer to him. The next day, a for some reason French Robin Hood tries to rescue Fiona. She makes quick work out of all of them with her martial arts skills that were dormant when she was in the castle. There's this montage of Shrek and Fiona falling in love as she starts acting less and less like what a stereotypical princess should be. In a milestone of female representation, women everywhere breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing that a woman can, in fact, burp, defend herself, and blow up a snake. The trio is nearing the castle when Donkey finds out that Fiona actually is cursed and turns into an ogress at night. That's why Fiona is so eager to find her true love, because she's been told that only a true love's kiss will release her from this curse and transform her into love's true form. Shrek overhears part of the conversation and misunderstands that Fiona was actually calling herself the ugly beast and not him. Shrek departs like the second love interest in a K-drama and brings back Farquaad. Then he returns to his swamp alone. Fiona, knowing that she doesn't have that much time before sunset, requests to get married ASAP. Donkey clears up the miscommunication and Shrek objects to the wedding, telling Fiona that Farquaad is only in it to be king. Fiona then transforms in front of everyone, and before Farquaad can do anything, we cut to a scene from Game of Thrones. Donkey's girlfriend? I don't know if they put a label on it, swoops in and then devours Farquaad whole. Dark. Shrek and Fiona kiss, and then Fiona becomes an ogress.
Are you all right?
Well, yes. But I don't understand. I'm supposed to be beautiful.
But you are beautiful.
Aww, okay, enough of that. Let's get into why society is fascinated by Shrek. It's pretty clear among all these opinions, though, that one of Shrek's core messages is of self-acceptance and diversity over conformity. The movie speaks to people who feel like they don't quite fit into society, which is kind of a funny idea to have such mass appeal. I mean, is there anyone who actually feels like they completely fit into society all the time? I don't know, kind of reminds me of people who allegedly don't have mental health issues. Kind of sus. Anyway, in the movie, the fairy tale creatures are the outsiders, and the monsters and animals, i.e. Dragon, Donkey, and Shrek, are much more likable than the humans. I mean, there was that mob attacking Shrek in the beginning, knights were paying citizens to turn in their fellow creatures, treating them like commodities, and in the scenes featuring Duloc citizens, you can't really distinguish individuals. All the characters look and act the same, reacting to Farquaad like a single entity laugh track. Contrast that with Shrek. From the beginning, he's really embraced his true nature and feels comfortable in his individuality. He isolates himself on the outskirts of society of his own accord, though we later learn that this is more of a coping mechanism. He's so afraid and hurt by societal rejection that he would rather first withdraw himself before he'll let anyone do it to him. Retweet. Shrek's development through the movie is through his friendship with Donkey, who isn't afraid of him unlike the others and still wants to be his friend. And then through Fiona, who loves him regardless of his appearance. At the end of the movie, he no longer has to be alone. Fiona has a different journey that leads to a similar outcome. In the beginning, she subscribes to societal ideals of what's appropriate. She hides her ogress nature. She pretends to be asleep just so a prince could come rescue her, even though she probably could have escaped by herself and, it saved a lot of other people from incineration. But that's just me. She's upset that Shrek didn't follow the romantic protocol in rescuing her and is repulsed by him, even though she herself is also an ogress and shares a lot in common with him, actually. Fiona doesn't really accept herself for a lot of the movie, and when the spell is revealed to have kept her as an ogress as opposed to turning her back into a human, Shrek affirms to her that she is beautiful. Maybe it's worth noting that he had to say it in order for her to internalize it. Maybe also the bar is on the floor. Still touching. Contrast these two with Lord Farquaad, who, say his name 3 times quickly and it starts to sound a little like Farquaad. Some have said that Farquaad is supposed to be Michael Eisner, who is this Disney executive that Katzenberg hated. Others have said that he's supposed to be Hitler because, he's short and totalitarian. Anyway, Farquaad is interesting because he's also not perfectly at ease with himself either. He's hell-bent on achieving perfection, always looking in a mirror to indicate that he's obsessed with image, and clearly overcompensating for his height. Farquaad is highly insecure, and unlike Shrek and Fiona, never ends up accepting himself as he is. He tries to assimilate and make others assimilate, forcing societal acceptance. He has cue cards for the public to react to. He only chooses Fiona because most of his men were suggesting her.
Hey, pick up a tray, my lord. Oh, okay. Number 3!
And he just never lets the facade drop. Facade. Farquaad. Shrek was shocking at the time. It featured a grotesque protagonist who wasn't even noble, just deeply insecure. The movie parodied the traditional fairy tales by making the beasts the heroes and Prince Charming the villain. Musical numbers, too, were immediately cut short by the characters.
Man, that was annoying.
Shrek included adult humor.
Please take off the grass, shine your shoes, wipe your face.
A lot of pop music, cultural references, and, with CGI animation, looked a lot more realistic than Disney animations. Shrek showed its audience that the world is vastly imperfect and not just the stuff of pretty dreams and your imagination. Some people have pointed out that the timing of Shrek's release also played a pretty big role in its enduring impact. Culturally, it came soon after the Disney Renaissance, which is a period when Disney was pumping out very successful musical animated films, and people might have been getting tired of it. A Vice article also mentions the Bush years, stating that this was a time when many lower, middle, and working class people would have maybe resonated with the film dedicated to the triumph of marginalized people. This brings me to some criticism. Some critics find irony in Shrek being so anti-Disney while still sharing the same aim of getting its audience to consume more, i.e. going to the theme parks, buying merch and the DVDs, etc. These critics suggest that the appearance of subversion in Shrek is really a very savvy marketing ploy. Execs at the top sensed changing taste and felt like there would be a new audience for hip, new anti-Disney material. Duloc pretends to be the perfect place, but it's just there to sell things. The people inside and the creatures outside aren't valued whatsoever. Shrek addresses consumerism as a critique, but then the franchise itself takes advantage of that maybe audience approval and uses it to sell them more merch. Regardless, Shrek was an unexpected movie by all accounts. But there may be more to why people are so obsessed with this movie. Let's talk about its impact. Obviously, the movie was a hit. Probably because of Shrek, the Academy introduced a new category for Best Animated Feature. Shrek was recently selected for preservation in the National Film Registry of the Library of Congress. Shrek's CGI integration revolutionized animation techniques, especially the portrayal of realistic humans using a complex facial animation system. It expanded the genre of animation, paving the way for more realistic 3D satire that critiques society. Think WALL-E or The Incredibles, and more. But then, in a horrific yet fascinating twist, the internet sort of respawned Shrek. An image board called ShrekChan launched in 2012. Brogers became a thing. Think bronies for My Little Pony and brogers for ogres. The internet started seeing intentionally shitty fan art called Shart, presumably from Shrek and art, and the iconic, ungodly Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life video, which depicts sexual encounters between Shrek and a boy in his bedroom, went viral. There are several, probably countless, explanations for the internet's love for Shrek. Maybe the ironic, cynical context of the movie tends to inspire more surreal, dark memes. Maybe Shrek is just the funny word. Maybe his face looks stupid. And maybe Shrek just happens to have a lot of timeless lines that still hit different even in 2021.
And the first thing I'm gonna do is build a 10-foot wall around my land.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
No! No! No, no, no!
Alright guys, I've gone on long enough. Please subscribe if you found this video worthy and make sure to fight me in the comments. Ogre and out. See y'all.